Gentlemen, here we are at trail number 19, and I've discovered that as we've been sort of heading to this, whether you knew it or not, we've all kind of been building to these 4 trails over the next 4 weeks. They're kind of tricky trails because they go back into our past. We've waited this long to get here because we're very much aware of the fact that you can't really do these ones well alone. That's why your campfires are so important. The guys around you here to support. For some of you, this will be a trickier trail. Before we go into looking into our past regarding our moms and our dads, I want us to think a little bit about our current situation. I want you to think about the current love of your life. Now, if you're married, it's your wife. Okay, just so you know, that's the current love of your life. If you're dating, engaged, or whatever, that is your current sweetheart. I want you to think about them for a few minutes because as we think about our moms in a couple minutes, I want us to think about how am I treating the woman in my life who one day or currently somebody thinks of as mom, who one day somebody will value as you're valuing your mom or struggle through as you might struggle through your mom. So what I want you to think about is this. I want you to think about what am I doing that just honors this woman in my life. Now for me, I think of Lynn, and I think of the fact that we have 4 sons, the youngest which is 17. So she's done most of the battling years as far as raising them early on, but now it's any consequence of any choice becomes much greater. And so how do I love Lynn? A couple of things that I just recommend you do. Guys, don't do what people recommend you do at Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, everybody says, give your wife something so she'll, in essence, if you listen to the commercials, love you back. This is not what this is about. This is about how do I just come alongside and value and love on her, which will not have something coming back for me. Find out what her language of love is, whether it's something you give her, something you say to her, something you do for her, some time you spend with her. Find out what it is that allows her heart to come alive and center in on that. Take little sticky notes, Post-it notes, and just write 10 or 15 notes of appreciation and thanks and leave them scattered around the house. Just let her know. And she's going to want to know what you want. You're going to say absolutely nothing other than let you know you're loved. I want you to focus on loving her and honoring her. You might have that opportunity, if your mom is still alive, to do that with her if you find yourself longing to do so. But right now, I want you to learn to do it with the person in your life that you love and value. So I want you to sort of treat this like it's Valentine's Day. I want you to sort of think, how do I do something special that she's going to receive? And with nothing coming back. Because interestingly enough, not a whole lot comes back to moms anyway. So when you give to a woman, don't ask for something that she has to give back to you. You just simply give to her to honor her. So take your bride, take your girlfriend, take the love of your life, and make her feel special. So the next week, once a day, do something with nothing to come back, no return in mind, just loving on her, and you're going to go a long way. Now, the reason I want you to do that is because we're going to move from current, that we're going to start to step over into our past a little bit. For all of us have had a mother, every single one of us. Whenever I go anywhere near talking about moms, I'm very much aware of the fact that this is dangerous territory. It can be as dangerous as this. For some of you, you've just lost your mom in the last year. So as we go anywhere near here, it has just kind of like, whoa, kind of feelings. For the majority of us, moms are untouchable areas. I mean, yeah, there are mom jokes and all those kind of things, but those are kind of locker room things that even put the levels of tension pretty high. For some of you, talking about moms, every single thought is positive. For some of you, you're still living with your mom. At 42, you got to be careful on that. But some of you are 15, 16 years old, and you're walking through this journey, and you're still very actively, daily engaged with your mom. I know that some of you, this topic is painful. Mom has let you down. For some of you, your mom hasn't let go of you, and you don't know what to do about it. There's so many dynamics that take place when we go into this area. But the simple fact is, if we start to move closer and closer into this area, it's like you're about to go from where you are back, and you're going to expose a window into your soul. You're going to expose this thing that's going to show you who you are now based on what the journey you've come from. Now, in that window, there can be positive memories. It can be that which you're just drawn to, that you want to be there. It can be everything inside there is great. You can actually not want to leave there. It can be those kind of experiences. That window also can be a little bit shady and a little bit like uncertain and with some good and some bad to it. you'll notice that there's a flower box in front of that window and there's no flowers in it. There's no flowers in it because for some of us, the windows don't bring back joyful and growing and happy memories at all. The window to our soul is tricky. So you need to understand that when you enter your campfire, you guys will come after this time that we've been together on this trail. You'll come into your campfires with a whole variety of experiences about your window to the soul. So we're going to walk through this. We call this trail the mom factor. We call trail number 19 the factor in our life. And I want you to know I understand that we're on holy ground when we go here. So join with me, if you would, in this particular journey. It's going to have a lot to do with this, chainmail. Chainmail has two protective layers for us, beliefs and filters. The chainmail that we have has two different parts. Now here's what they are. The first one, beliefs are thoughts and ideas that we have come to trust as true. Beliefs are thoughts and ideas that we've come to trust as true. Now in our chainmail, this item, this actually, between this, which is the hood that goes over, that your helmet would go on, and this, which is the chainmail that would go over your body that would cover any spots that the armor doesn't cover, this weighs about 80 pounds. It's pretty realistic as to what chainmail would have been like. And actually, to be honest with you, even as I hold this, you can just feel the weight of this chainmail. Chainmail is the closest thing to your core that isn't your core. In other words, it's between your armor, that which is designed, when you have good armor, to protect you and to give you time to make sure your core is intact. The chainmail is to cover anything that the armor doesn't cover in the middle of a battle. These are the beliefs that you and I have that we believe to be true that are, for the most part, based on our past. This chainmail is sort of a series of beliefs. Now, in this chainmail, though, you'll notice that it's made up of a series of links. That has everything to do with the filters. Look at the next part of the understanding of a chainmail. Filters are product of a previous life experiences that affects the content of what we see and believe. These filters are a product of a previous life experience that are going to affect what we feel and see. The chainmail, in essence, is made up of links. The chainmail is made up of particles of metal that are all put together that hold us safely. Now, if this metal is bad, if this metal is faulty, and I believe that I have it on, I'll be safe, and something hits me and that those filters are not good, my beliefs, while feeling like they are right, are wrong. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about this amazing kind of a journey that we go through with our chainmail. Our chainmail, for the most part, comes from a variety of sources, but the most part, it's going to come from how you were raised. It's going to come from the input that people had on early in your life. Now, you'll still continue to build your chainmail all your life. But a lot of what we believe was established through these filters, this area that was given to us from our past. In your nightly news, you'll find that there's a guy by the name of Samuel. Samuel has an amazing mother named Hannah. Hannah was unable to have children. Her husband, Elkanah, had two wives, Peninnah and her. Peninnah had children, and in a culture where children were very important, Hannah didn't have any. So in the temple, when they would travel, where Eli actually was the high priest, she would pray and ask God to give her a child. One day Eli will see her, think that she's actually been drinking because she's so intense and so shaking in her prayer, and he says, you shouldn't be drinking this time of day. She goes, I'm not drinking, I'm praying. I am childless and I'm just asking God. He says, God's going to answer your request. She goes home. She and Elkanah have a son. His name is Samuel. Samuel will impact the world even to this day as we know it, because Samuel will be part of what God will use to bring about the line of Christ through King David and others that have become very key. Samuel is an interesting guy because he's born to a woman who all she wanted to do was have a son and love on him, and she is willing to give him up. She actually said, God, if you give me a son, I'll give him to you. And so after Samuel is weaned, she will take him to the temple and give him to Eli, and he will be raised as a priest. And he will actually change so much of the world, of the nation of Israel as we know it. Amazing, amazing judge. Amazing man. Elkanah let his wife, Hannah, let her son go. And as she does, it actually shows me some pretty cool things. Now, some of you feel that, and you go, well, she abandoned him early. So I know some of you feel that way. Some of you feel like, way to go, she knew when to let go of her son. A little early at 3, but she knew to let go of her son. Some of you guys are still having trouble with moms that are letting you go. Samuel had a good mom. Every year she would come, and every year when they would come to visit the temple, she would just honor him and delight him and care for him and give him certain things as God was going to use him. God will bless Hannah with other children. But Samuel will be one that will, I think if you stopped him at any time and say, tell me about the mom factor in your life, he would say, pretty powerful experience, pretty good experience. I want you to consider this thing that we're going to evaluate. Look at Roman numeral 1. Evaluating the filters of our moms. We're going to grade each memory on a scale of 1 to 5 of our moms. 1 is the way you wish it was not. Okay? The way, 1 is not a good number. 5 is the way you wish it was. Okay? The way you really wanted it to be. So 1 is the way you wish it was not. 5 is the way you want it to be. We're about to grade our moms. This is the biggest risk thing we ever do. It's so important because it's going to take a look at your filter. Now, in order to do that, let me tell you about my mom. Now, my mom was a very interesting lady. She was a lady who found herself without a dad when she was 16 years of age. Her mom and dad were very godly people, loved God. Her dad was quite a man from what I understand. They almost named me after him. His name was Winfield. Thank goodness they didn't. Here he is, Winnie Walker. But my dad died of a burst of appendicitis when my mom was 16. Her brother was 12. Her mom was an amazing lady, lived to 94 years of age, just an amazing, amazing lady. My mom, as far as I can tell, walked with God, certainly from the time of her dad's death on. I mean, just an amazing, amazing lady. I can't find many bad things to say about my mom. My mom will score very high on this list. Her numbers are going to be good. My dad's numbers will not be good, but my mom's number are going to be very, very high. A couple things about her that you need to understand. She will be 8 years older than my dad. My dad will get married to her when he's 19, so she'll be 27. She'll have traveled by that point all over the world with a missionary and helping that missionary in this particular journey. She has all kinds of skill levels, everything else. But when she marries my dad, she becomes this amazing mom. Now, in order to marry my dad was being called home by his mom from college. They met. Dad met in college, and he was being called home by his mom to come take care of the family. My dad was not a very strong man, and his mom was really wanting somebody to come home and just take care of her. Didn't want to let go of him. My dad had other brothers. He had other brothers even at home, but she wanted him home. And so my mom looked at my dad and said, you have to pick. If you want to go home, you pick your mom, it's okay. We're done. The relationship is over. Or if you want to marry me, because they were engaged, if you want to marry me, you don't go home. Well, if you go to my parents' wedding picture, my dad's mom will not be at the wedding. She will see my mom as a threat. But to be honest with you, my mom was calling my dad up. Now, it's a shame that a woman has to call a man up, but that's what she was doing. She was calling him up to be the man he could be. And you'll find out my dad, for many years, became that man. For some seasons of his life. I wish it was his whole life. My mom, then, when she had me, I was the second. My sister came after 1 year of marriage. About 4 years later, I came along. And when she had me, we were treated as special. The biggest struggle I had with my mom was she had trouble letting go. Not letting go to Lynn. She just loved to take care of me, and I thought women take care of men because of the way she treated my dad and the way she treated me. If I have one weaknesses that you'll find in my scoring of my mom, it's that. So I want you to think through your moms. Now, again, remember, I know that for some of you guys, you just recently lost your mom. This is very tricky. My mom died about 9 years ago now. And so I have that same kind of feeling. I know what you're going through, but mine has a little bit more distance. So as you score honestly. Now the other thing I want you to do, I want you to score for all of her life with you, not just the last 5 years or the first 10. I want you to do your whole life spectrum. So if you're 19 years of age, I want you to score. Now you don't remember the first 5 years for the most part of your life, so score obviously from 5 on up. You're scoring up wherever you are. So it's a total score sort of average it out over a period of time. All right, let's walk through these. We're going to walk through them relatively quickly as we're going to grade our moms. Number one, mother's presence. She was able to be with you physically while you were growing up. She was not absent. She was not preoccupied. She was engaged with you. If she's engaged with you, 5. If she's an absent mom, not involved in your life, then she's a 1. You know, not as you wish it was, as you want it to be. 1 or 5. How are you doing on that one? You're just going to now with each one of these, 1 to 5 in there. So any number in between that. So just walk through. How did your mom do in this particular area? Consider number 2. Number 2, mother's cooking. Was she a good cook, and did she cook often? I want you for a moment to think about your mom's cooking. Just think about it. Breathe in. Do you smell a Thanksgiving dinner? Do you smell... My mom made spaghetti every Monday night, meatloaf every Wednesday night. So I remember smelling those things. My mom used to bake, so I could smell baking things. Your mom's cooking, what was it like? Was it good? Was it bad? What you long for or not? Now, I will tell you that now looking back, my mom's cooking might not have been the most nutritionally healthy thing. It always had vegetables. But we always had gravy. We always had whatever stuff that would you add now that we go, oh, probably shouldn't be adding that onto calories. But, man, I'll tell you, my mom, great memories when it comes to my mom and cooking and all that. Look at number 3. How did you grade your mom on number 2? Look at number 3. Mother's sensitivity. Was she emotionally responsive to your emotional messages? You know, did she understand who you were? Did she understand what you were reacting to? How sensitive was your mom to you? How sensitive was she aware of when you were getting angry and all that? Did she know how to guide you through things? High or low? How did your mom score? Now, to be honest with you, my mom's a 5, and then a 4 here. A 4 here because some days she did good and some days she struggled a little bit. Number 4. Mother's awareness. How well do you feel she knew the real you? Was she able to know you as you are? All right? Was your mom able to know you? Now remember now, we're talking about these things that you've come to believe to be true, that the signals that your mom sent you. Did your mom know you, or was it an image that she wanted to make you in? And how this turns out will be how your chainmail will turn out. How you'll actually feel, what things you'll come to believe will be true. Did your mom know you? Number 5, mother's availability. Would she be someone you would go to for help and advice? Was she, number 1, was she available? Mom's availability. But now as you score this one, was she somebody that you would go to naturally? Was she somebody that you would go and ask to help give guidance? So not only was she available giving you what you long for at the different phases of your life? Which means even now, if you go to your mom, does she talk about her, or does she help you work through what you go to about her, about you? Now, I want you to have discover about your mom. A good knight is a guy who's always helping somebody grow and become. The question is, even currently, for you guys that have left home, for the year that it's been a lot of years since you've been engaged with your mom, does your mom value you? Does she work in that area? That's part of the scoring process, okay? Number 6, mother's maturity. Did it feel like she could take care of herself? Was your mom strong? Was your mom needy? Tell me about her maturity. Was it somebody... Now, see, for me, my mom's scoring real well here. My wife's mom, every major important event in Lynn's life, every single one, her mom had a breakdown at every single one. There was a lot of struggle with alcohol and some abuse situations with medication, drugs, but there was just this kind of an area. Now, her mom is dead, and so I'm comfortably, Lynn and I have talked about this, can tell you that in so many ways, her mom let her down at every point. Her mom's getting a 1. My mom's getting a 5. How are you doing with your mom's maturity? Were you more mature than her, in essence? All right? Look at the next one. Number 7, mother's interests. Did she have her own life and develop herself independently from you? Were you too much a part of her life? Was your mom too much a part of who you are and not enough of who she was? There were times that actually my mom doesn't score quite as well on that one. There are times when my mom I would think I was the center of the universe. Now, there's something really cool about feeling that as a kid, but then there were times when, I felt like I was the center of the universe. I felt like I was her universe. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's a fine line here, because in some respects that's very positive. But was my mom able to develop and become all that she was able to be? I actually believe my mom sacrificed much of her life to raise Shari and I, and sacrificed much of her life to raise my dad. The cool part about is raising us is to launch us out. To raise my dad is probably not as cool. And so as you watch, does that development take place? My mom never worked outside the home after she got married. In fact, never did. Never did all the way through her life. There's nothing cool, right, or wrong in that. But it's funny, if I had to tell you, what did my mom do independent of us, I'd have trouble telling you what that was. So how did she do in that area? How does she score? All right, look at the next one. I'll give you one more insight. And again, even there, my mom was able to score. That's probably her lowest number, by the way. On number 7 was 3. Look at number 8, mother's change. Did your mother change in a major way at any point in your life? Was there a change that took place in your mom's life somewhere during the journey of your life? And was that change the change you wanted to be or not wanted it to be? So was there a change? Sometimes your mom all of a sudden got transformed in the middle of your life. Sometimes moms degenerated. Did they remain the same? How did your mom do in this area? Were there any major changes that caused you to see things differently? My dad will have a major change, right? We'll talk about this in a couple of weeks. When I was 11, 12 years of age, my dad had a major change, and it wasn't positive. My mom didn't. How's your mom score on that area? Look at number 9, mother's mood. Was your mother's mood consistent and expressed in a way that was positive? What kind of mood did your mom show you? Was it predictable or was it unpredictable? Was it positive? Was it negative? Was it huge swings? Was it pretty consistent? How did your mom do? Now, to be honest with you guys, this is so tricky for me. My mom is just hitting home runs on all this stuff. My mom's at 5s on a lot of this stuff. So that's why she will score very high. I know that Lynn, obviously my wife, would give you a very different score on her mom. You're going to have different scores. Now, here's what I want to remind you guys. I know some of you feel like I got to be careful I'm not dishonoring my mom. I'm not asking you in any way to dishonor her memory, all that she did. All I'm asking you to do is to think in terms of your filters that are part of the links of your chain mail. What have you come to believe? Because you're going to find out next week when we go through this that some of the things that we're looking at right now have everything to do with what you believe to be true about you and life and situations. Some positive, some not as much. All right? Look at the next one. Number 10, mother's behavior. Did your mother behave in a way that made you proud of her? Did your mother behave in a way that made you proud of her? By that we mean, did she do things that you would be comfortable with other people seeing you, knowing that she was your mom? My mom always wore dresses. I'm not kidding. I've never seen my mom in pants. I've seen her in a bathing suit. Never in pants, never in shorts, always in dresses. And part of the weird part about that whole thing is that it was like my mom was always never able to just relax and have sports and play fun. And yet she would do that. She would play with us. She would do all that stuff. It just didn't seem like it would fit. And I remember as a kid, all my friends, their moms didn't wear dresses. And so it felt a little bit funny. So actually my mom scored a little bit different in this area. It was just one of her beliefs, one of the areas that she went through. Look at the next one, number 11, mother's confidence. Was she confident in her interaction with people outside of the home? Was she confident in her interaction with people outside of the world around you? My mom was fairly good in that area, but we were very strict Christians. And as very strict Christians, people who weren't very strict Christians were dangerous. That's why I grew up, to be honest with you, one of the reasons I struggled greatly with God and had put on some chainmail and put on some armor against God was I was so sick and tired of sort of this we-they kind of thing. So that's sort of a weakness that sort of came out of it. It's actually only a 4 from my mom on this one. It doesn't go real far down because she always made people feel loved and valuable. We just had this we-they kind of thing going on that was kind of a strange deal. How about you? How do you do in that area? Now, when you score your mom, when you look at the mom that's involved in your life, you have to say, is this a person that I felt like is engaging with me in a positive way? Have you ever seen the movie The Truman Show? Where Truman is the main part of the show. Truman is this guy in the Truman Show that was born on TV. They built a whole world around it, a big dome, and they have all these cameras and everything else is sort of everywhere he goes, his life is being recorded. Everybody involved in his life, his mom, his dad, any siblings, anybody that's involved in his life, his wife, are all actors. His best friend is an actor. It's a really tricky thing, right? Truman doesn't know this is going on. One day, Truman is walking through the town, and here, I want you to think about the scene, sort of get captivated in your mind by this scene. He's walking through town, and as he's walking through town, he sees a guy who looks strangely like his father, a little like a homeless guy, but like his father. His father had drowned in this water that surrounds the island that he's raised on. He drowned to keep Truman from ever wanting to cross a bridge or cross the water on a boat, to be afraid of water so they could keep him on the island. They made the kid have a traumatic experience so that he wouldn't want to leave, to keep their TV show going. Now, in that process, in that moment, he sees now his father, who snuck back onto the set. The actor who they took off as his dad has snuck back on. When he sees him, he goes, "Dad," and as soon as he says "Dad," in the earpieces of the other actors, the other extras, they come racing over, they grab this guy, and as Truman's chasing after him, throw him into a bus and drives away. The next thing you see is Truman sitting in the living room with his mom, Angela, who's been his mom all of her life as an actress. She knows that the man that Truman has just seen isn't his dad, it's an actor. She knows that his death was staged. But to play into it, she makes this statement among others. Truman, it probably wasn't your dad. I think I see him all the time and all this other stuff. And then she says this, "You know, Truman, I know you sometimes feel guilty about this. I want you to know I don't blame you for his death. I don't blame you for his death." Truman was in a boat with his father that was staged by a bunch of actors, a bunch of directors that would kill his father. And here's his mom wounding him at such a level, saying, "I don't blame you for losing my husband." What an incredible lie. Now, as you come out of that scene and you come into reality, the fact is that no matter how bad you have it, you probably don't have a mom like that, who looks at you and says, "I don't blame you for the actor who was your dad's death." But you know what the problem is? Some of us have been lied to by our moms and deceived and tricked and wounded. And so when we score here, there's some tough things. I want you to look at the next question, and I think it'll help you to see how do you evaluate your mom in number 12, mother's role. Did she like being a mother? I put this right after we talk about the Truman Show. Your mom's role, did she like her role as a mother? Your mom is not an actress, she is a mother. Some of your moms were reluctantly mothers. Some of your moms, you became the reason why they got married. She's pregnant, she felt it was the right thing to do, they get married, and may or may not, that marriage may have worked. But she becomes a mom. Some of your moms absolutely love being moms. Some of your moms like to be moms when you're young and not when you're old. Some of your moms like you when you're older, not when you're young. There's all kinds of things. How did she do in her role of a mom? Did she like being a mother? How would you rate that one? 1 to 5. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And every one of these answers. Number 13, mother's work ethic. Did your mom make you feel comfortable with bringing friends home? Did your mom take care of life in a way that made you proud? What kind of work ethic did your mom have? And I don't mean your mom's job was to clean the house. I mean, did she create an environment where you felt like this would be a positive environment for me to bring friends? Were you proud to bring them home? So that whatever she was doing, instead of, you can imagine, let's say your mom just stayed in her house coat all day long, never left the sofa, watched TV all day long, there are piles everywhere. Where does it work? How does it flesh out for you? Maybe your mom worked a job. And when she came home, she was absolutely exhausted. Maybe when she came home, she helped you and others do a lot of things while she worked together with you and got things ready. How does it work? 1 to 5. Next one. Mother as a wife. Did your mom get along with your dad? Did your mom get along with your dad? What kind of evidence is that? Now, I have to be honest with you, I never saw my mom and dad fight. My mom and dad had a pretty loving relationship. But my mom still gets a 4 on this one. You want to know why? Because while my mom got along well with my dad, my mom actually enabled my dad to remain as he was as he started to degenerate later on in his life. Well, actually not even later on, when I was 13 years of age. So part of it is that she sort of was an enabler to try to keep peace to try to keep the degeneration going as slow as possible is instead of calling him up, at least as far as I know, never called him up, nor did any other man that I know of call him up to manhood. Look at number 15. Mother as a nurturer. Was she supportive and make you want to be around her? Was she supportive and make you want to be around her? Was she the kind of person that you just wanted to sit near your mom? And when you would talk about your day, would she listen? When you talk about your day, would she engage? Was she supportive? My mom would always rub my feet. I love having my feet rubbed. Love it. I got gross feet. I got these little gnarled toe kind of things. It's really weird. And she would always rub my feet. Loved it. When I got married, guess what I wanted Linda to do? Rub my feet, right? It was one of those amazing things. I actually love being around my mom, not just because she rubbed my feet. I loved being around my mom because she would listen to me. She would engage with me. How did she do in that? All right? Mother as a teacher, number 16. Did your mother encourage you to learn, both at home and at school? Did she read to you? Did your mom teach you? Did she let you explore things? Was her goal to launch you, or was her goal to keep you? Was she not afraid of you growing beyond her? How was your mom as a teacher? How did she expose you to new ideas and new things? Number 17, mother is fun. Was it fun to be with your mom? Was it fun to be with your mom? Was your mom the person who made you laugh? Was your mom somebody who was just good to be around? Was your mom fun? Or was your mom pretty serious? Now, my mom was fun. My mom was actually, we laughed a lot. We did a lot of cool things. Now, I would think that a woman who lost her dad when she was 16 years of age might not be quite as fun. But my mom was. How was your mom? Was she just fun to be around? I love to watch Lynn interact with our boys. She has been involved in all of their lives in so many amazing ways. And she does things that are fun. She has built such fun memories for my children. Each one of their birthdays are a production. We do all kinds of stuff. And we're all actors. We all kind of like this world. And we've had pirate parties and baseball parties, and we've had Ninja Turtle parties, and we've had all kinds of things that we've done over the years. I think some of that Lynn and I we got from my mom. Certainly didn't get it from her mom. And we got it from the kind of things that my mom would do. It was just fun. And it's cool to be around. All right, look at the next one. Number 18, mother and you. Did your mom like you? Did your mom like you? Now, this is interesting because I would tell you absolutely my mom liked me. My sister, 4 years older, would say my mom didn't like her. I never, ever, ever had any sense of any behavior from my mom that would cause me to see how Sherry came to that conclusion. But my conclusion, my mom liked me. Now, I don't know about you. Maybe you're one of 7 kids. Maybe you don't even realize if your mom could remember your name. I have 4 sons, and I have trouble remembering their names. I have actually called my youngest son the dog's name, which he's never let me forget. Our dog's name is Nittany, after the Penn State Nittany Lions. And I was going through the names. Joshua, Joel, Caleb, Nittany. And my son Seth goes, way to go. You couldn't even find my name, number 4 in the hit parade. You went to Nittany. How did your mom do? Were you one of the favorites? Were you one of the persons that you felt that she just liked you? Doesn't have to be the favorite, me over another one. She liked you as she liked those around her. All right? Number 19. Tough mother. Did she allow you to face your own consequences? How was your mom with disciplines? Was she tough? How did she handle that? Because moms naturally want to give in. My mom actually didn't. She scored in the middle on this one. Again, gets to her lowest numbers of 3 out of 1 to 5 on this. How did your mom do on that? Is she a tough mom? Did she not mind you helping with your consequences? One of the guys that holds me accountable has a very good mom, but she's very tough. She just did not mind the consequences in their son's life. She scored very high here, even though he wasn't always sure that he was highly valued all the time. He knew that she was not afraid of him letting deal with the consequences of his life. And he's become a very, very strong man as a result of that. He had some other areas, so the scoring, blends back and forth a little bit on this one. Look at number 20, mother's gentle push. Was mom able to let go, and did she encourage your independence? Does she let you go? You see, guys, the whole goal of a father, is to launch you, to release you like a rocket off of the launch pad. And how good is she doing that? It says in the Bible that a man is to leave his father and mother. A woman is to leave their father and mother, and they are to cleave to one another, and become one flesh. It's a breaking from one, starting a new unit in marriage and building that relationship. How did your mom view that whole area? How good is she? A lot of you guys I know have struggled with your mom letting go of you. To this day, she calls you every day. To this day, she always needs you to come over and solve these problems. How good is she at letting go? 1 to 5. 21, your mother's faith. Did she have a strong relationship with God? Your mom's faith. Did she have a strong relationship with God? 5 almost seems like too high of a number for my mom. Too low of a number for my mom. I almost feel like I need another number higher than that. My mom was just really strong in her faith. My trust of God, I can say, boy, it started relatively early because of her strong trust in God. Look at the next one. Mother's money. Did mom handle money well? Was your mom a spender or a saver? Did she handle her money in a way that was healthy? Well, spender, saver. What kind? And usually in your parents, one's a spender, one's a saver. How'd your mom do it? Did she handle it well? Was she wise with it? Did she overspend so she was so tight that nobody could do anything? Was she oversave, or did she undersave? How did she do? 1 to 5. 23. Mother's temperament. Was it hard to make your mom angry? Was it hard to set off your mom? It was not hard to set off my dad, but it was hard to set off my mom. I had all kinds of easy triggers with my dad. I couldn't have many triggers with mom. I can make my mom cry. Which always made me feel terrible. But I just couldn't set her off where she would get angry. All right, 1 to 5. How did your mom do on that one? 24. Mother's acceptance. Was your mother generally accepting of you? Mother's acceptance. Was she generally accepting of you? Not only did she like you, but did you find herself fair? Was she critical? Did you feel like she accepted you? When you got a report card, did she notice your highest grades, your lowest grades? And would she compare you? How did all that do? How did you do in that area? 1 to 5. Last one. Mother's love. Did your mother love you? In essence, remember when you're a little kid and they want to know how much you love them and you go, this much? Right? Remember when you do that? As you go through this, remembering the window from your past, did your mother love you this much, this much, this much, this much, this much? It makes me sad that some of you will say this much. You get excited when you say this much, but how did your mom love you? And in a way that you could read, a way you could express it. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to start to total all these up. I want you to start to add them together. Some of you guys that are accountants, I know you've been adding them as you go. You know what number you're at right now. I want you to start putting all these numbers together and adding them. Add them up. Now, out of a possible 125 points, all right, out of your mother's above score, perceived love score. Now, here's what you got. You can have up to 125 points. Now, I want you to write in your mom's points. Write them in. So right there on the little empty space, take time and write in your mom's points. All right, add them up. I know all the accountants are looking around going, what's wrong with you guys? I have this done, man. All right, add them up. Yeah, this is way beyond fingers and shoes, and you're going to might need to get out the phone and figure this out, okay? My mom's at 110 out of 125. Pretty powerful score, all right? Now, here's what I want you to look at with this. Look at the next statement. This is the difference between the love from your mom that you wanted and the love that you received. That number is the difference between what you wanted and what you received. What I wish I would have, what I wanted. This is the difference between where your mom went. Now, if her number is under 100, there's probably some problems that's going to really be reflected in your chain mail. Now, if it's over 100, probably from your mom, other than if it got a little bit too connected, and at that particular point, you probably would have scored some things a little bit lower anyway. If it's over there, you probably have a little less problems with your chain mail because your filters would have been better. So for you guys that are scoring under 100, and I'll tell you, guys, we tend to score a little bit higher for our moms than we do our dads. You watch how we do that when we get to there in a week or two. Each week I talk to you about a warrior. Robert E. Lee's an amazing warrior. He's been called be one of the greatest generals by guys like Winston Churchill said he's one of the finest, highest character generals ever. You know a lot of history of of Robert E. Lee. What you might not know is he had a mom that had him a little bit later in life. He's the end of 7 children, 4 of which she had, 3 of which she had adopted as she married the then governor of the state of Virginia. And Ann Carter is an amazing woman, but by the time she has her son, she's Robert E. Lee, she's almost died, and she's pretty frail. And so when her husband leaves the country, just can't take it anymore, has sort of this breakdown, and leaves her, and then ultimately dies, Robert E. Lee has to sort of be the man of the household. He's the youngest, he's the one left, he's 11 years old, and she's sort of his helpmeet, and he's sort of hers. It's kind of this weird deal, but not in a bad way. She teaches him all about God and character and heart, and so everything you see Robert E. Lee reflecting in his battles is connected to her. It's connected to her character that she got directly from him. I think Anne would have done pretty well. Anne Hill Carter would have done pretty well in how she scored with her son. It's reflected in the kind of general he was. How he always would listen to his men. He would always lead them spiritually. He'd always be the highest form of example. There is not a whole lot of things you can find negative about Robert E. Lee and the way he led. I want to give you a quote from Robert E. Lee that will reflect, I think, her influence in his life. It reads this way: "Get correct views of life and learn to see the world in its true light. It will enable you to live pleasantly, to do good, and when summoned away, to leave without regret." To leave without regret. I believe that when you have been blessed as he has to have a good mom, things happen that will enable you to have a little bit less chinks in your chainmail. Right? I want to give you a couple things just to warn you, just so where you are right now, depending if your number for your mom's a little bit lower. Let me give you a couple things that will help you walk through this. This is a warning. Roman numeral 2. If this lesson on the evaluation of your mother stirred up a great deal of conflict inside of you, a heightened awareness of these dynamics is needed. Here are the dynamics I want to walk you through, and we're just going to fly through them. Number 1, be aware of the desire to compartmentalize, to ignore this. Don't ignore it. Don't just put this away. Men like to put things in closets and not look at them. 2, be aware of the fact that we get stronger as we are exercised by experiencing difficult times. You're going to get stronger by going through this. Recognize that. Okay. Number 3, be aware of the negative feelings that are stirred up as you look at this filter. Be aware, as you feel these things, that there are negative feelings inside of us, and we don't want to necessarily always deal with them. 4, be aware of the men in your campfire who can help you change this filter. Be aware that you're going to go from here to a group of guys who can help you walk through that. And finally, be aware of the fact that to change your life, you must first need to change your filters. Be aware of the fact that in order to change your life, you're going to have to change the filters, the links that make up this chainmail. You have to change it because the window to your past that we just looked at is reflected in what you're putting on to protect your core. It's the beliefs that you're running off of that cause you to make the decisions you're making. In an amazing way, in the movie Truman Show, Truman has come to an awareness through a series of events that he's being conned. He's actually realizing that the beliefs he has are not true. And so in a powerful scene, I want you to think about this scene. In a powerful scene, he gets on a boat and courageously goes to sail out. The whole town has been searching for him, all the actors and actresses, because he has snuck out, knowing how to hide his way around the cameras, and they find him sailing across. Christoph is the creator of this world, the director of the show, and so as he's watching him, he tries to actually almost kill him, drown him, to stop him from going, hoping that his beliefs will kick back in and he'll run back home and stay on the island. Truman keeps going and going and going. Finally, Christoph realizes as Truman hits the wall at the end of this dome in which his world has been created in, as Truman hits that in the sailboat and then walks along the edge, Christoph decides he needs to talk to him just as he's found an exit that will cause him to be able to leave the dome and end the TV show. Christoph identifies himself, and Truman says, "Is anything real? How do I know what's true? I look at the windows of my past and I don't even know what life is and what light is. How would I know? And you've never had a camera in my head. You don't know who I am." At that point, Christoph says, I am the creator. I know everything about you. I know more about you than you know about yourself. He says, I can protect you. He's lying. He's the director of a TV show. Part of going to your past is to find out whether you got a lie or not that you're believing that's going to leave you vulnerable to become the knight you were designed to be. Gentlemen, this has been a hard week. Don't ignore, though, the pain of the week. For some of you, go take a look at the filters of your life. Spend this time reflecting. For some of you, maybe you're just going to write a letter to your mom thanking her for scoring 120 points. For some of you, though, you got to take a hard look at what you believe. I will tell you, you're not going to do it alone. We'll walk through it with you. The guys in your campfire will. But most importantly, the God of the universe, who is the giver of truth, will. The mom factor. We are learning through it. We're growing through it. We'll deal with this again in a cool way next week. See you then.